Let's talk about a new survey that has just been released. A new survey revealing that business leaders are still split on recession forecasts for the year ahead. But as inflation continues to moderate and the Fed contemplates rate cuts, more and more leaders are paring back their odds of a recession. A new survey out from JPMorgan Chase revealing that 40% of mid-sized business leaders anticipate that a recession or believe that we are already in one. That's down from 65% a year ago. Joining us now is Ginger Chambless, head of research for commercial banking at JPMorgan Chase. Ginger, it's great to have you here. So talk to us just about what you're hearing from business leaders right now. It still sounds like they're a bit cautious heading into 2024, but a bit more optimistic if we compare it to last year's levels.
Yes, and thanks so much for having me on. So we take this survey once or twice a year to take a gauge of how business leaders are feeling in terms of their business prospects and outlook for the economy. And there were a few notable changes in this year's survey relative to the one that we took a year ago. In terms of the changes, first and foremost, there was less pessimism in terms of their national outlook on the economy than this time last year. And as you noted in the intro, along the same vein, we see fewer business leaders that are anticipating recession in 2024. When we were heading into 2023, there was a majority of small and mid-sized business leaders expecting recession. Now, as we look forward to 2024, that's about 40% for mid-sized business leaders and about 50% for small business leaders. Now, one area that remained the same relative to last year's survey was in terms of business challenges. The top challenges that business leaders are facing continues to be labor issues.
Right.
So that would include tight labor shortages, attracting and retaining talent, things like that. And then also inflation. So we have seen some moderation there, but it remains a top challenge for business leaders.
Well, I really want to circle back to that, Ginger, because when I hear that these businesses are still struggling with labor, I just kind of can't believe that we're still having this problem. But it does make sense given that we still see some good numbers in the jobs data that indicate that there is a mix of job openings across the country and hiring continuing. What does your data tell you about what types of businesses are still struggling to find employees and to retain talent?
Sure. So our business leader survey really is across all industries and, like I said, small and mid-sized businesses. And what came out of the survey is that there is 86% of mid-sized business leaders expect to maintain or add headcount in 2024. So that's still a pretty high number, and I think speaks to the idea that businesses are still looking to add workers, even in this environment where they're still somewhat tempered in terms of their outlook on the economy.
Ginger, what are you hearing just about, given the fact that there are still so much uncertainty out there, there's a lot of hesitation from these business leaders, just their ability right now to raise capital? Obviously, it was extremely tough looking back to the numbers that we saw in 2023. Has that at all, the outlook improved here for 2024?
Yeah, so a couple thoughts on that. I'd say broadly speaking, for the small and mid-sized business leaders, what we're hearing from them is a little bit less in terms of anticipating significant credit needs in 2024. Their CapEx plans are a little bit more tempered. This all makes sense in the context of elevated economic uncertainty and pretty balanced views on the economy and business environment heading into the year. In terms of innovation economy, so that's another segment of the business leaders that we took a survey on. And that area of business has seen very significant challenges in terms of capital raising over the last year. And as we look forward to 2024, they're maybe about half of those business leaders that expect to look to raise capital over the coming year. And so it's a bit more tempered given the environment.
And Ginger, going off that, we have certainly started to see the numbers come out that we are beginning to see a rise in bankruptcies, expectation that maybe that could continue here to 2024. Did you get a sense just about how confident some of these business leaders are in their company's ability here to survive over the next 12, 18, 24 months?
Yeah, sure. So again, in terms of the small and mid-sized business leaders, those leaders continue to be confident in their prospects over the coming year. We continue to see a majority that expect revenue growth and a majority that expect profit growth over the coming year. In innovation economy, those business leaders are even more optimistic. They tend to be opportunistic and optimistic cohort of the economy, given their entrepreneurial spirit. They remain even more bullish in terms of their prospects over the coming year. Now, there are certainly some areas of caution with regards to how this looks in a longer term context, but the numbers still say that they're optimistic in terms of their ability to generate revenue growth.
All right, Ginger, thank you so much for joining us. That was Ginger Chambless. She's with JPMorgan Chase as the commercial banking head of research. Ginger, really appreciate it.